the concept of entitlement is very easy for a lot of people to see in other people, but so difficult to see in yourself. And it just is such a testament to that mindset of, no, everyone else should bend to my will. And if they don't, then that's an affront to me.
Right. And then if someone else is behaving in that same manner, they're the first person to be like, oh, entitled. Welcome to Elevated Life, Real Wellness and Transformation Podcast, where we walk alongside the internally driven individual as they transform their life through wellness, movement, mindset, and personal responsibility. If that's you, you're in the right place. Let's jump in.
Today, we're talking about generations. Yeah, the different generations that are attempting to coexist in society as we know it, what that looks like, and maybe some thoughts around how we can move forward. We want to start out with a story.
Yes,
though.
I have a story. And it's a story of entitlement. And weird because it's not from the younger generations that are constantly being berated with being called lazy and entitled. So this happened Friday. Yes. We are selling a bunch of stuff, and I listed some pavers on Facebook Marketplace, which we should just do an entire podcast on the adventures of selling shit on Facebook Marketplace because, anyway, we're selling some pavers. So this lady messages, she wants to buy the pavers. Cool. She comes to the house and I'm in my garden and she pulls into the driveway. My garden is the entire front yard of the house. And she's like, where should I go? And I motion her, if you're on YouTube, I'm kind of like pointing around, to just park right in the driveway, which is basically right there, and to back in. And she proceeds to drive around the woodshed through a very narrow passage, drive across the lawn, and I leave the garden to the other side where the grass is. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And she said, well, you told me to come this way. And I was like, no. I pointed right there, park right there. She proceeds to pull. How big is the yard?
What do you mean?
Like from where the picnic tables are to where she parked? Like 20 yards, 30 yards?
Yeah, I was going to say a couple hundred feet.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So she drives across the lawn, which I'm not a huge lawn grower, but the lawn that I do have, we use very much. And there's some reseeding that I've done. She drives over the reseeding and almost takes out my beehives that are not currently full of bees, but they're out there to be washed and put away. And I'm just like, what the F just happened? She pulls so close to my beehives that I actually have to move them in order for her helper to get out of the truck. And I'm just like astonished because she doesn't back up when I go, no, park there. She just is like, oh, no, this is what I want to do. And so I'm just going to do it. And then when she gets out of her truck, she hands me the money with her head down, doesn't say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I totally misunderstood what you were saying. Or is there another option? Whatever, nothing, just here you go. And I thought, this is absolute entitlement. And this came from a boomer. And I want to talk about it because the more I thought about it, of course, I was super annoyed. I let her know that I was annoyed because I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not appeasing people just to be the nice person, because that's how you give pieces of yourself away. And I wasn't like, hey, fuck off, I didn't freak out, but I just thought, wow, this is a real tell into your psyche.
Yeah.
right? Like, so anyway, they load up the pavers. I felt really bad for the worker because he knew that that was really fucking wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So then they proceed to load up the pavers. Fine. He comes over. He's like, hey, can I pull the truck around this way and back in? Of course, all on my lawn. And I'm like, fine. You're
You're
already
already
there.
there.
You've already driven through all the things. And it wasn't him. He wasn't driving the truck when it pulled up. He was just, the guy that was helping. And then when they went to leave, she wanted to drive through my raspberries to get out. And
But
I was like, no, go back the way you came. Like follow your tracks, please. Follow your tracks. Um, and anyway,
the raspberries that are in a clearly defined bed,
yeah,
surrounded by rocks that
yeah,
are, I mean,
it's landscaped.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we want to talk about entitlement and how it's not just what do I want to say? The younger generations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much a learned and perpetuated behavior.
Yeah.
And, this podcast isn't intended to just bash on boomers, but, who knows where we'll go, because that's the adventure of this podcast. But it's something that I think in general, before we break down more specifics, the concept of entitlement is very easy for a lot of people to see in other people,
Oh,
but so difficult to see in yourself.
for sure.
And it just is such a testament to that mindset of, no, everyone else should bend to my will, and if they don't, then that's an affront to me.
Right. And then if someone else is behaving in that same manner, they're the first person to be like, oh, entitled.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you're just young and dumb, and so you're
Yeah.
entitled.
So why maybe a place that we can start with this is, why does the younger generation have that stigma of being entitled? What behaviors are seen that would identify or label, let's say, Gen Z or whatever the one. Well, no, those ones are young, but young people, young adults and teenagers and that kind of thing. Why are they seen as entitled?
Um, I think it's because they see through the system. They're tired of feeding into the system, and so they question the system that the boomers have um developed
Mm-hmm.
and passed down,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's what I hear often is the younger generations don't want to work,
Yeah, that's a
right?
huge one.
Yeah, they're just so lazy. And I just want to remind you, boomer, that you were able, when you finished school, you were able then to go out into the workforce and have one job and buy a house, start a family, and potentially your wife wasn't forced to work,
Mm-hmm.
right? If she wanted to work. I think that was a generation where, working moms, that actually
And
started to happen.
we'll get into that too.
Yeah.
For sure.
But now, in case you don't know, boomer, that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
We've got people graduating from college who can't even get a job at Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to share a home with 6 other people. They can't afford their car. And then they get berated because they want to have some kind of joy in their life and grab themselves a coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you think about just the financial piece of it, because that's
Yeah.
one piece, just to kind of elaborate on what you're saying, somebody could go in and get a good job, potentially not even have any tangible skill when they started.
Yeah.
It would just be a factory worker or something like
Mhm.
that, which isn't glamorous work by any stretch. And it takes a little bit of gumption to
Mhm.
do something like that. But you could make 25 grand a year and buy a house that was 35 grand,
Yeah.
and the car that was $1,900.
Yep.
And now it's like, okay, I'm going to graduate from high school. And let's say, the whole education system is another thing that we can talk about. But let's say I'm not going down that road and I get a job even where I'm making, $20 an hour, $25 an hour. So that's, whatever that is, 50 grand, 60 grand a year. But a starter home is now $500,000
Yeah.
or more,
And a
depending on
pound
where
of
you live.
beef is $7
Yeah.
for 1 pound.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is an issue completely.
Hey friends, if you're getting something out of this, connect with us on our social media platforms. We're at CJ Elevated Life _ on Instagram and TikTok, and CJ Elevated Life on Facebook and X. We're answering DMs, sharing daily content, and building community with people ready for real transformation. For now, hit subscribe wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We drop 2 new episodes every week. And if this episode resonates, share it. That's how we reach more people who are ready for change. You can also find everything at cjelevatedlife.com. All right, let's keep going.
And I get really frustrated with the older generations constantly berating the younger generations when they set up the system like this and they're just as entitled. I see it just on the road.
Mm-hmm.
I talk a lot, maybe not on this podcast, about retirees that I'm fucking retired. I don't care. I'm going to go 30 and a 60 when there's a line of 15 cars behind them trying to get to their fourth job.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's, oh, everyone's just in such a hurry. Oh my gosh, fuck you. I don't even care. This happens all the time. That's entitlement to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just is. I know it's like a very, little thing, but I've experienced this. It's like I'm on my way to work, seeing my sixth client of the day, and I get behind someone who just doesn't care. They don't care because I'm retired and I don't care and I've paid my dues and here I go. And then you're the asshole for being like, okay, I'm going to pass you or, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. The housing thing, I think, really, really sticks with me. Yes, that, because with the something like the driving, a simple solution is pull over.
Yeah, I do that all the time if I feel like going slow.
Yeah, nobody's saying you have to drive 70 in a 60.
No.
But also just be aware of other people's situations and pull over.
Yeah.
And then drive 20. Do
Yeah.
whatever you want to do.
Yep.
The housing thing too is another example of entitlements of, again, so you went through that scenario and you bought the house for 40 grand and now you see other people selling their house for $1 million. So like, well, okay, I deserve $1 million for this house because that's what the market is. And fine. That's that's part of how societies work. I'm not necessarily faulting the boomers for seeing other houses are selling for this, so mine should sell for this as well. But understand, like what Jonna was saying, that is the situation that you're creating, and now you're pricing the younger generation out of being able to do what you're demanding them to do.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to follow this set of rules, young person, because those were the rules that I had. Except I changed the rules of society, but you can't follow the new rules. You better stick to the way it used to be, but I'm changing the way things are, right? I don't know if that got confusing.
Well, I mean, here's a simple way to put it. When you graduated from college, boomer, or you graduated from high school and you were learning a skill and then you were able to buy a home, could you afford $1 million home? No, you couldn't. And did you have to work 6 jobs? No, you didn't. In fact, you could work a 40-hour work week, which is insane to me now for anyone who wants to make any kind of money. You also weren't competing with older people for entry level jobs.
Mhm.
This is the market right now. Like you have, you know, back in my day,
Mhm.
like grown ass adults weren't working at Burger King when I
No.
applied. I was competing with other 15 and 16-year-olds.
There was one that
Yeah,
was
the
the manager,
manager.
and they were like
20.
25.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you can't even get a job until you're 18,
Mhm.
right? And so then it's just this, oh, they're lazy, oh, they're entitled. And, you know, maybe that's partly because we, Gen X was the product of emotionally and physically unavailable parents,
Mhm.
right? So who our worth was completely wrapped up in what can we produce?
Mhm.
That was it, our production, which is why all of us feel like if we sit down for 5 seconds, we're being lazy. So, and millennials too, they're in that too. There's that, little gray area between generations. So then we went the opposite direction where we're like, oh, maybe our children shouldn't have to go to school, have a full-time job, and try to, be involved in anything. Maybe we're going to help them out a little bit,
Mhm.
right? So then that would be enabling,
Mhm.
right? That's what that was doing. And yes, there was massive enabling. And I'm not saying that nothing is black and white here, people. There's nuance to all of it. But we, swung the other direction.
Right. It's the pendulum with so many things that we talk about. This is another perfect example of it. Of it was so one way, and then the overcorrection was inevitable, but the overcorrection then is faced with, I guess maybe the kind of the underlying theme of what we're talking about is that overcorrection isn't faced with an understanding, from the older, from boomers. It's faced with, oh, you guys fucked everything up.
Yeah.
Like, but you created a system that we had to go so far the other way to try to find some equilibrium
Mm-hmm.
that, yeah, there's Gen X has responsibility for it, and they're trying to correct it, potentially. But it takes all of the different generations understanding, oh yeah, we were way over here and we didn't like that. I mean, there's a reason, right? There's a reason, there are a lot of reasons, but why the pendulum swung so far one way, but then having no recognition of, oh, we pushed that thing the other way. And that's why that pendulum swung.
Totally. I mean, we've talked about this before. When you have to have a commercial come on at 10 o'clock at night, this is where are your children? Check and see where your children are. That was my generation. Our parents had to be reminded, like, oh, you have children. You should probably find where the fuck they are. Like, it's funny because everyone talks about Gen X being the generation that, oh, we stayed out until the street lights and it was so wonderful. We raised ourselves. Okay. We had hardly any parental guidance at all. And that's happening again currently with the financial whatever system because moms now are working full time. They're having to be, kids are raising themselves, but we didn't have, the internet or social media and things like that to skew our perception of life. That was a good thing for sure.
Yeah, on a lot of different levels. That
Yeah.
was a good thing. So I don't know, like what are we trying to say, I
Well,
guess, with this
I
conversation?
I guess what I would like to inspire the boomers that listen to this podcast to do is take some fucking ownership.
Mhm.
Like seriously, and instead of pointing the finger at the younger generations, maybe you could learn something. Maybe you could put yourself in their shoes.
Mhm.
It's also said that they're just emotionally weak. Well, we created that weakness through first of all, not dealing with our trauma because it's all passed down.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're like, I don't want to be involved in a system where I literally give my entire life away from 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, because those are work hours now.
Mm-hmm.
For what? I don't get to enjoy this life at all. I'm just grinding. And not only that, but I'm being told that I have to respect everyone who treats me like an asshole, that I'm weak, that I'm less than, all of these things that we're telling the younger generations. But then at the same time, we want them to, like, I don't know, suck it up.
Right.
It's such mixed messaging. Like, so maybe some understanding that you, in fact, have been really fucking entitled and privileged.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to talk about privilege? Let's talk about it. The fact that you were able to work a 9 to 5 and support an entire family and go on vacation and have a home and do all the things, that's amazing. Good for you. But that's not what these generations coming up are facing.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but a lot of these generations, younger generations, they've been at war, global war, their entire existence. Like, it's just, the world is really fucked up for them. And so instead of just judging and being so negative, can we have some compassion and understanding about what they're facing? Like, they're facing big things that we didn't have to face when we were kids. We just didn't.
Boomers did a little bit.
Ish. But they didn't have to face it all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe things were hard, but it wasn't, global hardness, and I can't even afford to drive my ass to the grocery store to buy the food to fuel my body and pay my rent
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not buying a house. I can't.
I think this is a great example of, again, something that we talk about a lot of, there doesn't need to be black and white, or
No.
it doesn't need to be, um, if A is wrong, that automatically means B is right.
Right.
And so I think where it gets caught up so much is, it isn't what we're talking about, isn't a discounting of struggles that boomers had,
Totally. Yeah.
because every generation, life is
Yes.
struggle,
Yeah.
and there were things, think of war, you think like Vietnam,
Right.
that was a
Yeah.
major thing.
Yes, it was.
So it's not a discounting of it, but that doesn't mean that the solution is, well, I had it so hard, when I grew up in the 50s and 60s, the boomers when they were young, and look at all this stuff. I didn't even have the internet, and whatever, and you have it so easy now.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of the quote, and I don't know if I'll nail it, but you know, everybody's most difficult thing is their most difficult thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you might have had more difficult than me,
Mm-hmm.
but my most difficult is still my most difficult.
Totally.
And they can be totally different. And that doesn't discount mine. It doesn't discount yours. It doesn't amplify yours or amplify mine.
Yeah.
And it seems like right now the mentality is from boomers is, my struggle should be amplified. You have nothing to complain about because look at how good life is. Everybody's got a flat screen TV.
Yeah.
There's 100 restaurants within 2 miles. You've got the internet,
Yeah.
whatever. So my life was so much harder. So you just need to fall in line.
Yeah.
When in reality, no, everybody's life is hard.
Yeah.
And just a recognition of, oh no, you have struggles too. You
Mhm.
have challenges. So let's come together and
What?
figure that stuff out
Yeah.
versus, saying, oh, kids these days, and just going on your old man rant.
Yeah. I know. I can't. One of the things that I drives me bonkers is you can't teach an old, this is just how I am. I mean, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And it's just a perfect way of saying, I refuse to grow and learn and understand from a different perspective. And I guess, that's what we're trying to sort of inspire in this podcast is in order for us to create a better world, we need to quit pointing fingers. And I'll say this for myself because as this happened, I was like, boomers kind of annoy me. They really do. They annoy me. And so I need to deal with that because, as I'm pointing a finger, there's several pointing back at myself. So I also am going to take my own advice. But this experience of this woman driving across my yard with me being very clear as to where she was supposed to be, and then not even acknowledging that did exactly opposite of what the property owner had asked her to do. The only thing I could think of was this is entitlement to the T. And this is the generation that points at all the young kids and calls them stupid and young and lazy. And, you're drinking too much coffee and you're going out to eat all the time. I want to talk about that for a second because it just popped into my head.
All right.
Here's why they're going out to eat. Number one, they don't have the time to cook like you did, Boomer. They don't because they have 3 jobs. And it's way more convenient to grab something quickly than to actually be able to take the time to create a nourishing meal, especially if they haven't been taught how to cook, because the generation before them were busy working because all of a sudden mom got thrust back into the workforce because I'm a woman, hear me roar. And these skills were not passed down because the tax base needed to increase so that we could feed the politicians more money. Where did that start? That started with the boomers. And it was perpetuated through Gen X. If you had a mom that was able to stay at home and be valued at home, because the other thing is all of a sudden stay-at-home moms are like, losers. You're just a stay-at-home mom? What? Wow. I mean, that's just like low level whatever. And now we're reaping that. We're reaping the reward of you telling women that her job in the home was nothing and she had to swing all the way to the masculine and start being the provider too. And who is raising the kids? The state. So it just, and that started with you.
So I guess the ask is, or not, I don't know if it's an ask, but just the statement is really the acknowledgement that, oh yeah, everybody kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
And again, I'll go back to it isn't just like a bashing thing.
Hey, quick pause. If this episode is hitting you and you're ready for real tools, here's what we built.
Head on over to cjelevatedlife.com, pick up the Rebuilt Method for Men or the Rebuilt Method for Women, just $67 each. We also created the Parasite Detox Blueprint at $37, and this is actually the exact protocol we use ourselves.
And while you're there, sign up for the newsletter. You'll get the weekly action steps and new tools we've tested ourselves. Let's get back to the episode.
It's with a lot of the things that we talk about, like with our own childhood traumas. We talk about childhood trauma a lot, and the purpose of finding your childhood trauma and dealing with it isn't just to say, oh, I finally have reasons why I can blame my parents for everything. And, it's all their fault. And now I don't have to have any responsibility because they screwed me up and I'm good, so that's not what we're saying.
No.
But it is an acknowledgement of oh yeah, we tried to do something, and maybe it was even we tried to do what we felt was right at the time
Sure.
because of our experiences,
Totally.
And all those things, but it didn't work out the way that we thought.
Right.
And we all have a part in that. So
Mhm.
now we all have a part in moving forward and finding equilibrium and figuring out, what does society look like in its most functional that we can figure out today.
Mhm.
And that's not you're a piece of shit.
No.
That's not inspiring anybody to do anything. And it's also not, oh, you think you have problems. I had problems.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about a demoralizing thing. Like, I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I don't see any purpose in life. And then to be met with, well, I had less purpose in life.
Yeah.
So you should be good.
Just invalidating someone's experience
Yeah.
over and over and over. But then you expect that to inspire them to want to be a contributing member. Number one. Number two, take care of your ass when you're old.
Mm-hmm.
Come visit you when you're old. I mean, you hear about that all the time, right? Oh, I'm rotting away in a nursing home and my kids and grandkids don't come and see me. Well, there might be a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a reason for that. And so what we're trying to do here, I have to keep coming back to that, is inspire acknowledgement and compassion and change.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. I mean, and I'm sure some of you are pissed off. Boomers. They're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, typical Gen Xers.
Yeah,
Blaming
yeah.
the boomers for
Fuck
everything.
yeah. Yes. And here's the bitchinest part about Gen X. We raised ourselves. We were told that any kind of deep healing work was weakness and fake and lame. And guess what we are all doing right now? We're flipping the script.
Mm-hmm.
We're flipping the script and we're going back, dealing with our stuff, talking to our children, apologizing, saying we didn't know any better, and they're accepting that apology, and then healing is happening, and we're letting them work it out, and we're working it out ourselves. Not all of us, but there's a huge majority that are like, okay, the whole suck it up thing, isn't working because we're all walking around with autoimmune diseases and diseases on the rise. And that is all from suppressed emotion. We're going to change things.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do it differently. It's messy. It's absolutely messy, but we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, boomers.
It's an invitation.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an invitation.
Come along, because it's pretty amazing.
And remember that commercial from our generation? I learned it from watching you. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. We learned it from watching you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you, want respect as an older generation, you got to earn it now.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to earn it. And it's not about I get a free pass to be a dick. It's earned respect because respect is mutual,
Mm-hmm.
right? And acknowledgement lives in that. Yep. We didn't know any better, right? Just like when I had conversations with my kids, I didn't know any better. This is how I was taught. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to negate my responsibility, but I legitimately didn't know any better. Now I know better.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to walk out that embodiment of change so that you can see that I mean what I say. I'm not just going,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It's such an important acknowledgement and it's an amazing conversation you can have with people as they have this understanding as well of exactly what Jonna was just saying, with really saying, here's why. Here's why I did the things that I did. Here's why we had the thoughts that we had and the actions that we had. So I don't it just to lay the foundation. It's not, I don't need an apology from, my kids or the younger generation or whatever. I don't even really need them to fully understand like why I did the things that I did, but being able to lay that out so they have a framework of, oh yeah, okay, that is what you were coming from. I can see your perspective on it. And now we're all getting together and moving forward. That's something that is now more and more an expectation of like from, Gen X, if we're going up to the boomers, like we don't need necessarily apologies and like a mea culpa and, you to feel horrible about yourselves. And,
Totally.
that's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're looking for. It's just hey, this is why we did the things that we did. And now I realize, oh yeah, we could have done things different, or let's try to do things different now,
Yeah.
to end cycles of trauma or whatever.
But that would take humility.
Yeah.
And a lot of, and you hear this from Gen X parents as well. So y'all aren't getting off of the, whatever on this. I'm the parent. I said so. This is why I don't have to apologize, whatever. Right. So, that's something that, that's a wound for a lot of people that needs to be healed. And so anyway, I just wanted to toss that out there because, as people listen, it's like, well, I'm not, I don't have to do that. I'm older than you and I'm older and wiser. Not so much. Like if you haven't really done the work, you may be older and older, but you're not wiser because you haven't, you have no self-reflection or self-evaluation.
I mean, how about this concept? What's the value of wisdom if you don't use it for betterment?
Totally.
If you think you're older and wiser, use that wisdom to help everyone grow
Yeah.
instead of putting people down.
What? Weird.
Yeah, I know.
That's so weird. All right. I hope that this triggered you because that means you know exactly where you need to do your healing work,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, that's just every podcast. I hope it triggers you because then you can either project onto us and get angry or you can go, "Oh, I have some things within me that I need to evaluate and be honest with myself and my family about."
And once you do that, pay attention to how that manifests in your relationships with
Oh my goodness, when parents apologize to children, it is like the Santa Claus movie from back in the day when the big frozen guy, Meister Burger.
Oh, the way old
Yeah.
one.
When he melts down and all of a sudden he loves everyone?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it does for your children. And there's no expectation except for, okay, now walk out that change, right? Like, but boy, it just melts them. It's like, oh, it validates their hurt, their pain, right? So that's all it takes. It doesn't have to be some show. I know that, I know clients that have received just apologies from their parents. And usually, unfortunately, this comes with a near-death experience, some kind of disease. All of a sudden, people get a little melty, or just at the end of their life. You don't have to wait for that. You don't have to wait. You can start building that relationship now, and it heals something in your child, which then when it heals something in your child, then their child, because we're talking about generational trauma, gets healed as well. It passes down because we're all connected.
I do want to say this, though. I know you were wrapping up, but I'm going to keep going for a second.
Okay.
Because there is a responsibility on the child in this as well. Meaning, whether you're 19 or 49 or whatever, if your parents or, some older person that you have a relationship with in your life comes to you wanting to do that, wanting to apologize, wanting to explain, why they did the things that they do and how they can see, how some of those things might not have been the best thing to do, whatever that might be. That is not an opportunity to belittle them.
No.
That is not an opportunity to get out your anger at them. You have to be receptive.
Yeah.
You have to understand that, like you said, the healing is generational, but that forgiveness is generational as well.
Yes, it is.
And man, because you can really fuck things up if somebody comes to you genuinely,
Genuinely.
genuinely,
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
But this is, a parent-child relationship or a friend, companion relationship, whatever, and genuinely is saying, I made mistakes. Here's what I realized I did. Here's what I'm working on. And then you're like, you're damn right you did. You are a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, well, okay. Then that's probably an indicator that you have something to work on too.
For sure. I have a story that I'm going to tell and then we can wrap it up. How many times can we say
Or
that?
who knows?
Yeah. I had, if you've been listening for a while, you know that I have a stepmom. You know that her parents were awful and that they tried to run me over and kill me when I was a child. And in my adult life, I want to say I was like 28, the mother came and apologized to me. And the only reason why she apologized to me is because, and I know this in my intuition, is I think my stepmother kind of gave her an ultimatum or basically said, you were really fucked up to my kids and you owe them an apology. And I listened to her apology and I said nothing because I knew energetically at that time that it was bullshit. And I still have an issue with those people. And I know that in my heart. I haven't completely forgave them. So forgiveness is a process. And give yourself some grace in that because I do an OODA loop in my head because, in my head, I'm like, dude, my mom just died 2 years prior. Why are you telling me I'm not a part of the family and that I suck and I can't be a part of Christmas? And
When you're 8 years
yeah,
old.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like the deacon in the church spreading Jesus's love, right? Like, so obviously I still have issues with that. It also is attached to religious issues. But anyway, it takes time, guys. So give yourself some grace as you're working through the forgiveness process. Forgiveness is a gift to yourself because then you're cut free from all of that anger and, all the things that I just expressed when I just told you that story. Those really deep-seated wounds. It's a process.
And I think that bears repeating. Forgiveness is a gift to yourself.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because what does bitterness do to the other person? Zero.
Right.
What does my bitterness do to Harold and Sheila? Absolutely. And they don't fucking care. They've never cared.
Right.
But what has it done for me? Well, anger issues. Lots of unhealed things that I've had to unpack. And I have days where I'm like, oh, yes, I've totally let this go. And then when I see someone treating a child the way that I was treated by them, I'm like, okay, where's the brass knuckles?
Yeah.
Like, here we go. So, it takes time. That's all.
Just be the one, if you have the capacity. And hopefully, if you've been listening to us, you're at least starting to develop that capacity. Be the one to be open to receiving that gift for yourself.
For sure. And it's hard. It is hard. But do that. Yes. So did we say all the things that we want to say? Again, we don't want to berate on the boomers, but kind of ish.
On
No,
that happy note, yes, I think we said everything that we
okay.
needed to say.
All right. You guys have a great day. Hope this was helpful. And comment if you have something to say, even if you're like, I fucking hate you guys, because You know, every time we receive these comments, like I was called a dumb blonde on one of my Instagram posts, and I was
You
like,
were? I didn't even know
oh
that.
yeah. I was like, tell me you have, and it's always from men, right? Tell me you have uh issues with the feminine
Mhm.
and just issues without telling me.
Mm.
Like it's no it's water off of a duck's back now. But anyways, make a
Yeah.
comment
So
if
we
you have
love
some.
all the
Yeah,
comments.
we do. It's great.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.